let's start with the Patriots. They hired Gerard Mayo. Do you think that's a good situation for the Patriots, or do you think you kind of look like it sideways? Like, this is someone who was in Belichick's contract that he wants to take over. This is the same old Patriots. We had a problem on offense, and you're hiring a.
Defensive head coach. My problem with this move is not Gerard Mayo. I have no idea how good of a coach Gerard Mayo will be. That's not the problem. The problem that I have with the Patriots, why did you get rid of Bill Belichick? It was to start a new era of New England football. Whether that's going after an offensive guy or maybe it's just to change the culture. But instead, what you did is you hired a Bill Belichick understudy. We know what Bill Belichick understudies look like historically. Track record's not great. You basically replaced the Patriots way with Patriots way light, and you didn't really leave that era because you're still having a guy who was in that era for a majority of it, a guy who won 3 Super Bowls with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to speak too much on Gerard Mayo, the coach, because I have no idea. Maybe he'll be a great head coach, and I hope he is for him. I think he's definitely smart and he's a good leader. But the Patriots, the hiring here, you're talking about replacing an all-time great head coach. And historically, it's not the easiest thing to do, whether it be with Bill Walsh, whether it be with Chuck Noll, with all these other great head coaches. It's like you want to move into a new direction with the team. And I feel like they didn't do that. Instead, they
Yeah.
just hired somebody in-house. They didn't even interview anybody else, even though you have Mike Vrabel and all these other guys. I don't like the hire personally, not because of Gerard Mayo, but because it feels like you're not doing what you're set out to do, moving on from Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Belichick, it's like the defense was good. The defense is not the problem. The problem is you can't scout talent on offense. Bill Belichick's drafting on offense has set this team back decades, not even like years. It set the team back decades. If you want Mac Jones on this team, and apparently Robert Kraft's son does like and have a soft spot for Mac Jones, it's like this is not a good situation. I think this team should have went offense instead of trying to maintain the same tree as Bill Belichick. So we will see. We've been wrong about coaches in the past, but I don't know if I'm in love with the Gerard Mayo pick, but we'll see. I think it's a little bit weird though that you didn't even interview anyone else. But with that being said, Patriots already hired a head coach there. And then we have Pete Carroll. He's gone in Seattle. A lot of people are saying Dan Quinn. Do you think they go defense, someone they're familiar with, someone who helped create the Legion of Boom? Or do you think this is a team that tries to go offense?
I have a feeling they're going to hire Dan Quinn. I don't think that's a great hire necessarily, although I do think that that would be good for the Tariq Woolens of the world and the Witherspoons and all these other talents that they have there. But if I'm them, Geno Smith's not your future. You know that you're going to go after a quarterback, whether in free agency or in the draft. I would go after somebody offensively, whether it's a Jim Harbaugh, whether it's a Ben Johnson. I would go more offensively because that's really what you need to work on moving forward. And then obviously developing the defense helps too.
Yeah, and how would you grade the situation? Because like they have a lot of young talent on defense and offense. You have a lot of toys to play with, like DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker. I would give it probably an A, like salary cap wise and just roster wise. I think it's a very attractive opportunity. The only real trepidation you would have is living in Seattle, but other than that, it's really just can you find a quarterback and do you want to live there?
Yeah, I think that what would worry me if I was going into the situation is you have the Rams, the Cardinals, and the 49ers who all seem to be trending upward. And that was my you're in a really tough division, and your quarterback situation of the three, of the four, I mean, you're probably in the worst situation of them all,
Yeah.
honestly. I like Kenneth Walker. I like DK Metcalf. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba. But right now, like, it's going to be a rebuild, and you're going to need to get a quarterback. But
Yeah.
I think it's like probably a B, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with that. But we have the Seattle Seahawks, interesting. And then Mike Vrabel is gone. Tennessee, you have the worst offensive line in the league. You have Derrick Henry who wants out. You have Mayo Boy. You have maybe the dumbest collection of quarterbacks in NFL history, if we're being honest, with Malik Willis, Tannehill, and Will Levis. And then you have Jeffrey Simmons. Maybe he wants to leave because Mike Vrabel was his guy. I wouldn't love this if I was a head coach going to Tennessee. Do you have anyone in mind, or do you think like this is more like Tennessee? It's like, I don't know. You really need to fix your offensive line, and you may have some dysfunction that you would move on from Vrabel.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna probably go offensive minded, and I think they're gonna go really young. I don't know who that's gonna be. For some reason in my mind, I know he's not young, but Bobby Slowick needs an opportunity. I can see him jumping ship. But whoever
Yeah.
is gonna be their head coach, they're gonna need to have at least 3 years guaranteed there, barring catastrophe, because this is a team that is gonna have a gutted roster. They're gonna trade Derrick Henry. They're gonna move on from Tannehill. They're gonna have Will Levis, but everybody else on that team is fair game. You better give whoever you're going to hire there a little bit of a leash, because you're not going to be good right away. You're going to definitely finish last unless the Jags really collapse. You're going to be the worst team in that division.
For some reason, I know he's still on the Eagles, but I just see Sirianni standing on the Titans sideline. I don't know why. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, it pairs Mac Jones with him.
Pair Mac Jones with Nick
Mac Jones was
Sirianni.
born to be a Titan. I've said it since the beginning.
Yeah, but then you have Ron Rivera gone. We saw that coming. However, the Commanders are one of the top teams because you can draft Drake May. You have the number 2 overall pick, and then you have a bunch of cap space. You have a new owner. It seems like Josh Harris is doing some of the right things there. So you have the opportunity to draft your quarterback, have a rookie contract, have a lot of cap space there. It's a very attractive opportunity, especially with the downfall of the Cowboys and the Eagles. Anyone come to mind, or you think this is maybe a Jim Harbaugh if he doesn't go to the Chargers?
Yeah, so what excites me about this team is that they hired Adam Peters. So I have a feeling it's going to be somebody from the 49ers tree, whether it
Okay.
be an OC, maybe it be another former 49er in the mix there, but I have a feeling it's going to come from the 49ers tree.
Yeah.
Don't know exactly who comes to mind quite yet, but that's where I think it's going to be an OC, and I think that they're going to get that Drake May or Jaden Daniels. They're going to bolster that offensive line, and I actually think the Commanders are trending upward. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what they do in the offseason.
I'm gonna go early because Brickyard sees everything in the future. The Commanders may just win the division next year. We don't know yet. I know we're right about everything, but I'm just gonna put that out there.
I
Good
think
vibes.
maybe Bobby Slowick here. I think Bobby Slowick could do well here.
Bobby Slow could do well here. Either that or Ben Johnson. You have a lot of cap. You can draft your quarterback, so I think that's really interesting. And I heard Jim Harbaugh might go there if he doesn't go to the Chargers. And then Josh McDaniels, we think it should be Antonio Pierce. We already covered that in a full segment. And then Arthur Smith. The Falcons already met with Bill Belichick.
They really want Bill Belichick. I don't know if I'm Bill Belichick, I would rather go to the Cowboys or the Eagles if I have that opportunity. He says that he wants to go somewhere that has a lot of talented players, but is a project. And I think that
Yeah.
the Falcons fit that bill, no pun intended. But I think that for me, if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm going to want to go somewhere where the franchise quarterback's already figured out
Hmm,
100%. And I think that's the Eagles.
the Eagles.
The Eagles, because Jalen Hurts, we've
Yeah.
seen Jalen Hurts and what he's capable of. And I think that that offense is still going to be potent there. So if I'm him, I would lean the Eagles. But as far as the Falcons job, this is a weird one because there's talent there, but there's so many, like, I don't know what direction they take.
Yeah.
They have the 8th overall pick. If it's Belichick, he's probably going to go defense there at 8. Do you think Bill Belichick should go to the Falcons, or am I onto something?
No, he should go to the Cowboys. But if he goes to any other team, I think the Atlanta Falcons make sense because he could turn around that defense enough where they're 7-10, and some of the games they did blow on defense, and they do have talent there. And then you're thinking, well, we just had that fool Arthur Smith here who took not one, not two, but 3 players in the top 10 on offense, and he didn't know what to do with a single one of them. So maybe you go completely opposite. It's like when you go Obama, nice, yep, presidential, to Trump, who's like, you're a loser, you're a fat pig, only Rosie O'Donnell. And then you have George Bush and Obama. Like, you go like complete opposite. So maybe the Falcons do a complete 180 and go from queefing Karen Arthur Smith to rock hard stud Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I can see it. They're gonna definitely shell the money out for him. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's Bill Belichick. He's the GOAT of coaches. So that would be cool. That would just be cool. That would be a cool experience. So I think Belichick, if not, you're going after Ben Johnson, Bobby Sloak, one of these guys here. Or if you want to go defense, maybe you go after someone like a Raheem Morris. Luana Rumo needs to get a shot this time around because he's been great for the Bengals. So I think any one of those guys would be good.